Well, ShareTreck versus around here, friends. It's going to be another day of making money, especially when one goes shop. Look at the film green that looks down the tree. We are now seeing that alone so far. And I have a whole series of cards that I put together. I went in and one this time so that I can follow it and it's in a broader sequence. So look at this chart that I have here on a daily dashboard. But I'm going to talk about my narrative. The first thing is feeling index like 3, it is very remarkable. Second aspect of the China has reciprocated. There I believe on Bloomberg, And you can see that in there, it is generating status on your scripts to wait for and as risk escalates. And job badge going after hunting throwing windows to 100-year high. So that definitely going to have some kind of a consequence. And you can see all the index futures are down. I mean, I'm thinking that we should look at the yields which are going down, but it is even a bigger problem. A 10-year bond auction is expected to happen on Wednesday, and the President will try to sell $39 billion worth of bonds. And according to reports, this follows a 3-year only note auction, which happened on Tuesday that saw weak demand. The largest sources of treasuries and provincial dollars in these auctions were Japan, China, and UK. The very countries where the US has targeted with some of the highest tariffs. And if gold was sold earlier, as they said, to meet liquidity because of the price of gold that come down, that was my reasoning. If that was true, then we're seeing a little bit of good news on that front because gold prices started going up again. But some of the analysts are saying that it's selling of US bonds to raise funds to meet migrant calls and things like that. And with others are saying that it could indicate a lack of faith in the United States. So the first one is bad from a retail level. The second one was bad from a fiscal level for the entire United States reserve currency status and all that stuff. So the second one is much more dangerous. So what we like to do is look at people and we retail investors, we don't have these fancy indicators to those, but repo is a facility by which banks lend to each other. And when TLC happened, banks did not trust each other, they were not lending to each other, and repo had to be brought into place by the central bank, where the individual banks sell securities to the central bank, and central bank gives money overnight. So if we see an inclusive repo activity from the central bank, that could mean that mutual trust between institutions is starting to fail, and that's not a good sign. And also, we have to look at lessons learned from the past. For example, the GFC, it all started with the collateralized bonds, and the underlying loans were really bad loans. So we have various kind of institutions floating loans across to the various entities, and some of them do reverse lending, the others will not do that, and then they send it all to some other big institutions in package and whatever do there, and get it loaded by the including industry and send those instruments to retail investors and other institutions. Now, I'm thinking about suspect auto loans back like that. Suspect corporate loans back like that. Maybe it's there or it's longer, I don't know. But that's the second thing that we have to watch for, because when everything starts going deep and the panic starts to put a strain on the economy, people who write very car loans will start becoming delinquent, credit card loans will become delinquent. So all of those things, and I think those institutions, or the institutions which are underwritten those kind of moves. So that's something that we have to move forward to. And I think the Fed downsizing is going to show in weaker consumer sentiment. All those bad readings are going to come up because the Fed has let go of so many employees. And as I mentioned in the earlier videos, when those employees are let go, that consumption goes down, and the companies or people who are servicing them lose goodness, and also they start consuming and they evident that and it's a domino effect. It goes through the economy. Now, all of that is not even coming to the economic data that we see. We're seeing the things that happened before those. And now, the next reports, if we start reading those next reports can start handling us down. So we have to move forward with all that. Then finally, this is the most important aspect. I personally think, looking at all the history of Trump, right? Who will trust Trump and enter into an agreement? I haven't really had a Trump and got off sleeping contract, and this came up in the first term when he ran for election. And then now local people were saying that no, he's not paid his contractors, and he goes into litigation, and then the contractors are not capable of fighting the book for a long period of time, so they settled for cents on the dollar. Or some of them don't even get paid. And allegedly, he was also claimed to be Pluto, and then he can pay some dollars for extinguished loan. And he was bankrupt at quite a few of his companies. He had been bankrupt before. And in the first term, he broke long-standing agreements and commitments of U.S. To international bodies. Like he said, mathematics in the world, and he just yanked it out in the first term, and they came up with USMCA. That was in Biafra. And then he brought over the climate accord, which was signed by earlier presidents. So what was that guarantee on forward to, because the last term, USMCA was also negotiated by Trump. So you can say that he removed from Congress some previous president, but he himself entered into USMCA several pages on that ever. And then he said that it's not good and who negotiated was, an illegal or whatever. And now we have these diets and other things coming in. So I don't think many of these governments are going to trust it. Another aspect is that all those governments have no realistic kind of program that's willing to come back and come to Maryland or White House individually just to negotiate USMCA into the long period of time. And that was there's in two countries, US, Canada, and Mexico. Now, with all the countries in the world being there with tariffs, it's not going to be so easy. So things are not looking that great release have started shortly. And finally, even with trust and in good faith, the negotiation, but tariffs are still executive orders and can be cancelled by the next president. So it has to be enshrined into those negotiations by getting approved by the Congress so that no other president can reverse it. So then have the problem, right? So if it becomes problem, then all the countries would have to come and negotiate. But you look at the population in the 380 to 450 million at the most. You come back there to the population of China, India, and European Union, and Japan, Australia. So put all of them together, that's a huge population. And with all these activities, the per capita income and the GDP of US is going to grow down as a proportion. So the chances of other countries doing trade among themselves and bypass the US becomes much higher. So this is my overall process, which enables me to go ahead and short the indices. So that's what I'm doing today. Now, having said that, I'm just looking to the trading platform. If you look at simplifying the futures, you can see that we are very close to this huge area of support. We are down 2.19% right on the futures at 4.13. And you can see who's lying out here, who's been the nine. You will probably only going to see in the smaller division, but it will sound out here that if you see this red candle, this line was today's candle, and the bottom of this candle was where the price is right now. So it's already touched this area of support. So today it goes down below this area of support. Then we are in big trouble. We are already in trouble because we are rolling down below the support of let me it's not coming up. Okay. We are just growing below 5001.25. So that itself is a big problem for the index. And these two lines out here, do have minor lines of support. I think the big one is out here, this flat. So the data, this is the next real support for us. And after that, we have a support over here. So this black down and then these all as magnets as a visual. Now, we might have been Books is going to pull the down from a technical perspective and from the fundamental perspective, the retaliation from China. And countries like Singapore, we have zero tariffs on US, average now at the 10% valid. Well, those countries are also too soft. And all of that is going to have consequences. And Trump doesn't seem to be making any changes appearance. So let us see in the next 2 days if the president gets too much and he decides to abandon all these things, change some kind of retreat, and back out from here, and the market can rebound. If that rebound doesn't happen before we do this, I think we're in for trouble. That said, Nasdaq also is looking similar out here, and our area of support happens to be out here. It's going to be at around 16,439. Sorry, 16,454 is the spot. We have already cracked it before 3 days ago. But we're coming back down in a very orderly manner, step by step, and we are coming with a whole lot of support into resistance out here. So far, visually, if we are looking at the resistance, the resistance is going to be at 70,2.35. So that's our resistance for today, and this is the market rate for you so that you can see it here. And after that resistance, we will have support at 16,470. If we break that, then we could have under support over here, and let me just draw this out here, and on that green. And I'm going to take out this huge area of support that I have drawn here. I've changed the amount on that. Let's let it bleed this out here. And I'm going to put the next support right at the spot. So our next support is going to be 16,445.75. And after that, it's going to be 16,253.75. We've already tried that 16,462. And once back away, we're coming back down in an orderly fashion. Magni is absolutely short. And momentum is also great, So back and balls is imminent. And I'm thinking that the dead balls could take the symbol from 16,445 and bounce back again. It could happen later in the day, really. Or it may happen tomorrow, I don't know. It depends on how furious we drop. And then you have dollar in books. You can see dollar is dropping. It's down 102, it's going low. And it's already back our windows, they didn't show the target once. I believe we serve as if we come back and consolidate around this level, while we wait for some more positive outcomes to come up. And this is very bad for US because inputs are going to be even more expensive with the dollar being weak. And if you look at the 10-year news, we are just bouncing back up. This reverse order has been cancelled, and we're already on our way up. And we are right now at 4.450. What this means is that the bonds are not finding incurs. So the bonds are very cheap. Everybody's trying to sell those bonds. And therefore, as the market value of the bonds goes down, the yield starts to look much higher. And that's what is happening out here. And here in the English, Japanese yen, it is moving towards the yield and round situation. So that's the way of the land. Let's go on and look at AI. In AI, we have NVIDIA, which is not 1.64% in pre-market trades. And then we have Meta, which is also down 1.70% in pre-market close. And if you look at the common characteristics out here, they are all tagging the next support, which is coming on the already out of their bad channel and going to a new bad channel. And I think, let me just take the opportunity to mark these as right. So this is our resistance 99.45 at this point of time. And right now we are at 95.169, which is just above this line of support out here. Our line of support out here, there is 92.30. And we are just bringing those resistance at this support. So far, I have to prove that our first support is going to be 92.43, and the next support, unfortunately, is going to be 75.86, and our resistance is going to be 99.45. Just because the support is at 75.63 does not mean that we're going to drop all the way down there today. We could take a couple of those to reach there, or maybe we could drop that today. Magni 3 values. Momentum is also below average, but it is still not showing the RSI being oversold. So we still have opportunities to drop down. Maybe we can come halfway down, or probably I think I'll put a minor line of support out here. I'm going to collect this orange so that the minor line of support. And you can see here that we would probably hesitate around 86.92, maybe around 86.92. We may have a great bounce for NVIDIA. I don't know. Let's see. Because it looked very easy for NVIDIA stock price. Meta has also driven a lot of support. It has driven past the support over here at 516.18. Right now it's at 501. So I think it's all about this minor line of support out here. So I'm going to mark this red. And then we have the support here at 482. So this 482 is going to be our support. This yellow, this green line out here, 480, let's see what it is, 484.87. For some reason, today it's not allowing me to program and how to look at that exact number for this line of support. I'll see what's wrong with this configuration and fix it out later. But that's why we are 484.48187. While around 484 is where we have our support. Our instance for today's time is 3.75 for metal. Then let's go on to Google. I think MACD is very balanced. Right now, it's very low. And we're almost on the reversal area. So that cat wants is immediate for Google. But we could go and build new lows and create new lows on both RSI as well as MACD. So that's quite important. Pre-market, we're down 1.16%. So we are at 144.70. And if you look at these supports, we have already been converted into resistances. And this is 147.88, also converted into resistance. And we have a support at 144.46, which is just below where we are in the market right now. So this is our first line of support for today. And the second line of support today is 132.25. And the resistance, first resistance is 147.99. And the second resistance is going to be 152.15. The next word with Amazon. Amazon is down 1.80 in pre-market period. It's at 167.59, which is somewhere out here. So our resistance for today is going to be 180.23 until this support from yesterday until become resistance today. And our support for today is going to be 159.26. And I could also anticipate a little bit of a support down here from this diamond line of support at 166.40. Let me make this big so we can see it here. And now let's go into Powell. I think it's down 2.15% in pre-market praise. Then it was converted our resistance of 181.95, the support of 181.95 into a resistance. And then it was gone ahead and converted 117.82 also into a resistance. And now we are just below that resistance and other support of 168.71. So this green line that I have a cursor on is the support for today. And our resistance is 170.82. Our second support is going to be 166.15 for today. I mean, MACD is absolutely balanced, really, for the great platforms out there. Momentum is also very low. So if I'm doing FNTD, which I'm actually doing today, I'm going to be very alert to see for signs that the data moves happens, and I will immediately set it off. So I have to be watching for that. And then if you look at Microsoft is down 1.05%, which fell 350.82, which is somewhat out here. So for today, I think our resistance is going to be the stagnant line of resistance, and it's going to be at 364.59. And then also over today when we 346.24. And think of it, we can have about 10 bonds. If the MAC file with their 10 bonds, then that's definitely going to have an impact on S&P 500 and NASDAQ. And we could link them also up, even though other shares went going down. Tesla is down 4.90% from yesterday's action, and pre-market is up 0.19%. So we have a resistance for Tesla at 241, and then we have a support yesterday at 233, which is now converted into a resistance for today. So 233 for resistance for today, and the support for today is 212.22. And our price to the right on the pre-market session is between these two extremes. And if you look at the MACD, it is still bullish, trying to cross over to the bearish side. So I think that if the negative sentiment starts on Tesla, it's got a long way to go down, and it could potentially go all the way down to 183.61. Oil is down 2.08%, and we have the support here, which was spread back about 128.17, being converted into resistance, and the other support at 136.05 was also converted into a resistance, and that is going to act as a resistance. 136.17 is going to be resistance for today, and the support for today was 116.74. Same story here with the MACD and the other side. TN was down 1.87% this morning. It's at 96.75. And you can see that we had a circle yesterday at 81.96 or 81.45. That has been converted into a resistance today. So 81.45 is a resistance for today, and our support for today is 76.64, which is great below the support. I think I'll create some new supports out here, which I do not see. It's not refreshed. So we could potentially have a new support somewhere out here. So let me mark this. So this could be next support for us. Let me see where this is. This support is for us at 69.23. And then I'm going to go directly to the here. The level is on 1.98. It's a 74.89. So we still have a resistance at 83.82. And our support continues to be at 17.59. And we are, the price handle right now is between these two strings. And our next support is going to be 64.14. So those are the ranges that you can see for below for the I'm very interested in FNT. I was trying to buy FNT at around 3.10 in the pre-market session out here. Unfortunately, my broker pre-market starts at 8 o'clock. So I lost that opportunity, and FNT was already gone at 25.13 or 25.08. So I'm going to go there immediately after the session and buy a little bit of FNT to toggle what I already have. And I'm going to write that up. And now getting down is that I want to buy NVIDIA on the cheap because my NVIDIA identity cost was 136. And when the trade that I did yesterday, I took profit on NVIDIA. It has gone down to 181. I want to bring it down further so that my break-even on the way back up is much lower, and I could start making more profits on NVIDIA and start buying and selling on the road up and make more profits than just holding it. So that's my strategy. And I would like that strategy also to Google and to Microsoft. So that's my plan. So with that said, I think I'm going to look at Canadian because the news is that the current plan for US is still active. So I'm expecting Canadian oil to give me some moments to go and give me some hope that my money is going to be coming back. SMR is down 3.74%. I don't see much hope for that at this point of time with all these things happening out here. And I think the first project that SMR has in the Eastern Europe. So this tariff and other things might probably impact that with the European Union. So I'm very optimistic about SMR right now. I think I get further information. With that said, I want to go ahead and look at the chat section and have a chat with our subscribers who are tuned in right now. So interest there in David still is bonds calculator. Plenty of seen spikes below briefly over 4.5% in confirming who that's led. Yeah, I agree with that. Interest saying that some similarity is safe in bonds. Well, I didn't do all of that. So guys, I don't go now. I'm going to do my pre-market trades. So let me sign off for now and see you guys later.